If you watched my last video, you would know that we took a look at some Freudian slips, which again is an unintentional error regarded as revealing subconscious feelings. Well, today we're gonna take a look at some more, except this time they're gonna be a little more on the spicy side, or at least to start off, ones that fall into this category. These verbal stumblings could reveal forbidden urges, which were usually locked safely within the unconscious mind. Verbal errors aren't random at all. Here are a handful of clips that clearly show that something else must have been on their mind, which could end up being pretty embarrassing if you accidentally blurt it out.
I asked him what he liked, didn't like about that first half. He thought defensively the team started slowly not picking up Portland's dribble penetration, that is.
Sixers now set up for some success in the series.
And when we get stops, that's when we're at our best. So we're letting our defense dictate our offense. Next question, please.
During the 2012 NBA draft, Andy Katz of ESPN was supposed to say that Jared Sullinger was suffering from a bulging herniated disc, but instead something else came out of his mouth.
ESPN.com's Chad Ford reported that medical reports were red flagged by a number of NBA teams saying that he had bulging discs. Now, I spoke with his father, Satch Sullinger, shortly after that.
Here we have Jordan Clarkson going after a loose ball that went towards the announcing table, as broadcaster Eric Collins makes an accidental double entendre.
Ooh, I went there. Oh my goodness! Jordan Clarkson almost came in my lap.
As you can see, he instantly realizes what he said and how bad it sounded. But at least it's not as bad as this one. This reporter says something clear as day.
Listening to the tunnel between quarters, what'd you pick up on?
Well, just an observation, guys. I take you back to the...
ESPN's Mark Jones appeared to have had an unfortunate slip-up during Game 1 of the NBA Finals last year.
So you figured they put that low jack on his ankle to try and find him a little bit better in this?
Now, I can certainly understand why people thought he made an inappropriate comment. It's definitely not 100% clear, but I can see where it sounded bad.
You figured they put that low jack on his ankle?
Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find the actual clips for these two, but apparently they did happen. I guess we're left with only our imagination on how hilarious they must have been. Especially this Wilt Chamberlain one, where John Bucci-Gross attempted to say his nickname the Big Dipper, but failed miserably. Remember guys, it is possible to have a Freudian slip while typing as well. After the Miami Heat beat the Brooklyn Nets in Game 1 of the 2014 Eastern Conference semifinals, an Indiana newspaper called the Evansville Courier and Press published an interesting headline that read, "Heat cut nuts." Obviously, they were trying to write "Heat cut nets," you know, thinking they came up with some creative pun or something, but one typo drastically changed everything. It's crazy how much of a difference one letter can make. Just last year, Julius Erving showed up to a Sixers-Lakers game in Philadelphia to support his former team. But when they cut to him on the Jumbotron, I wouldn't blame him if he felt disrespected, because as you can see, they spelled his last name Irving wrong. And I can only think of one possible explanation as to why. You see, I just think we're so accustomed to seeing it spelled this way nowadays, because Kyrie is the current player with that last name, with that particular kind of spelling. And the person who was in charge of the Jumbotron probably fell victim to force of habit. Back in April of last year, NBA referee Mark Davis was trying to announce that a flagrant one had been issued to Karl Anthony Towns, but it didn't quite go as planned.
Upon review, the offensive foul that says Cat Williams has been determined to be a flagrant foul, penalty 1 for the unnecessary kick to the shin. 2 shots, ball inside.
Did he call him Cat Williams?
If I had to guess, I think this was a result of the ref knowing that Towns is often called Cat. So then, I believe the name Williams just naturally slipped out involuntarily after that, as he's probably used to associating the name Cat with the comedian Cat Williams. Speaking of mixing up names, back in 2009, Brazil was attempting to get the Olympics to consider them as hosts for 2016, and Pele, who was widely regarded as one of the greatest soccer players of all time, represented them as their ambassador. The same event also saw Chicago involved in the bidding, with Michael Jordan representing them. So naturally, during a press conference, Pele was asked about Michael Jordan, but apparently the other Michael came to his mind.
What's your question about the Michael Jackson or another players? Because Michael Jordan. Sorry. To Michael, no problem.
I'm sure Jordan wasn't too thrilled that Pele confused him with Michael Jackson. Now this last one's a tricky one and will have you sitting there questioning who to believe. Earlier last year, Washington Wizards announcer Glenn Conser said something kinda odd after Houston Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr. knocked down a game-winning three-pointer at Washington.
And you gotta give credit. Kevin Porter Jr., like his dad, pulled that trigger right at the right time.
Almost immediately, people were outraged on what made him think that was appropriate in any way. Fans couldn't believe their ears because, for those who don't know, Porter Jr.'s father, Brian Kevin Porter Sr., pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter in a shooting death of a 14-year-old girl in 1993. He was sentenced to more than 4 years in prison. Porter Sr. later died in 2004 after being shot in a South Seattle bar, which meant that Porter Jr. was just 4 years old when his father was killed. So given the details surrounding his father's past, of course some would say that Conser had a poor choice of words.
Like his dad, pulled that trigger right at the right time.
But actually, Conser claims that it wasn't even that. What happened is that he confused Kevin Porter Jr.'s father with former Washington Bullets player Kevin Porter, which he attempted to clarify in his apology. Quote, "Please allow me to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize to Kevin Porter Jr., his family, and the Rockets organization for the comments I made during last night's game. I mistakenly thought that Kevin was the son of former Washington player Kevin Porter, and was unaware that the words I chose to describe his game-winning shot would be in any way hurtful or insensitive. I have reached out to Kevin to personally apologize and hope to be able to talk with him soon." Now that sounded sincere and all, but LeBron wasn't buying it for one single second. He first tweeted about it and then elaborated later on during an interview.
"I don't want to hear that excuse. Could he have made a mistake? Absolutely. But in our job, in our field, as professionals, we are in a professional league, you got to do your due diligence and do your job all the way to the point where, why did he even say that at the end of that game anyways, those words? So I'm not taking back nothing I said, nothing at all.